When you turn it on, your speed goes up by 30%. While it's active, your mana will go down by 1 every minute. Skill willpower LV1. This skill works on its own, and doesn't use any mana. You have strong willpower. When your stamina drops below 30%, the willpower skill kicks in and you take 50% less damage. I guess I learned dash and willpower, because I kept running so much. That makes sense now. It meant that if he kept doing the same action and met a certain condition, he might be able to learn a new skill. That's incredible. This was a huge advantage. Hunters could get skills only when they were first awakened or by learning them from a runestone, which could sometimes be found in a rank magic beasts. Runestones can cost hundreds of millions to over 1 billion won. The most expensive runestone recently sold at an auction for 7 billion won. A top healer from another country bought it using all their money saved up. The stone had a special ability to heal many people quickly. Jin Woo's heart raced. It increased speed but reduced damage taken. These skills weren't as amazing as something that would cost several $billion, but they were still really cool. And to get them for free, Jin Woo didn't have a lot of magical energy, so he wasn't sure how to use them well, but he was still excited to have them. The text also said that willpower didn't even need any magical energy. It likely meant that willpower worked without using magic. Even if he didn't have a lot of magic, he could still use willpower as much as he wanted. This was a big deal. But, what does this unknown mean? Skill passive skill unknown LV. Max unknown was one of his passive skills. Passive skills should work on their own, but there was no other information. There wasn't a single clue. With so little to go on, Jin Woo knew there was no point in thinking about it anymore. He thought about focusing on something different. He had 3 points that he hadn't used yet. These points could make his skills better. His current stats were strength, 10 stamina, 10 agility, 10 intelligence, 10 perception. 10. He had 3 points to use, and there were 5 skills to choose from. All of them were at the same low level, because he was just starting out. If all this was real, the choices he made would matter. If his real powers changed based on his choices, how was he supposed to decide anything? Jin Woo looked serious. Strength likely meant power. He could figure out what strength, stamina, and agility meant. Those were like terms you see in video games. The tricky parts were intelligence and perception. Like before, the system did not explain things clearly, which made it hard to understand. If he got smarter, would that help him? If his senses got sharper, would that make a difference? Jin Woo was a combat hunter. What he really needed was power, speed, or stamina. If he had to choose one, it would be power. Being stronger would make things easier. He also wanted to see if his body would change when his stats went up. He spent all his points on strength, because he thought it would make the biggest difference. 3 points to strength, he said. There was a ping sound, and his stats updated. Strength, 13 stamina, 10 agility, 10 intelligence, 10 perception, 10. He had no more points left. Is that it? That was it. The only change was the number on the screen in front of him going from 10 to 13. He didn't feel any strange power or energy like you see in movies or anime. Has anything changed? Jin Woo wondered. He decided to test his strength. He stood beside the bed, and tried to lift it. He could feel its weight but was surprised by how easy it was. He wondered if this was because he had become stronger or because the bed just wasn't very heavy. He wished he had tried lifting the bed before he used his points to get stronger. Now that he had used all his points, it was hard to compare his strength before and after. If only he had more. Just then he remembered something. The rewards for the penalty quest. Along with the daily quest Jin Woo had completed today, he had also finished the penalty quest. He had almost gotten into danger, but he had seen a message saying his rewards were ready. Jin Woo quickly checked his message box. Your rewards for completing the penalty quest have been sent. Would you like to view your rewards? Yes. No. I knew it. Jin Woo felt excited and happy. Of course he wanted to see them. You have the following rewards. Reward 1. Ability points 3. Reward 2. Mystery box 1. Would you like to accept all? Unlike the daily quest rewards, full recovery wasn't an option, but Jin Woo was interested only in the ability points. He was worried there would be a difference in the amount awarded, as it was the reward for a penalty quest. But fortunately, he was given 3 points this time as well. Jin Woo excitedly yelled. Add 3 points to strength. Peng. Stat strength, 16. Stamina 10. Agility 10. Intelligence 10. Perception 10. Available ability points Sela. His strength stat jumped from 13 to 16. He positioned himself next to the bed and flexed his arms. He found it easier to lift the bed than before. He had now confirmed there was a real difference. It actually worked. Jinwoo felt much stronger after his stats showed a 60 increase, so he started lifting various furniture in his hospital room, being very noisy. He had to stop when the head nurse scolded him. She was walking by and stuck her head in after hearing all the noise. "I'm so sorry," Jinwoo said with a sigh of relief after she left. But he couldn't relax. His heart was racing. Bab. It pounded so hard, it almost hurt. There would be a quest every day with ability points as rewards. As long as this didn't suddenly disappear, he could live a completely different life from before. It was such an exciting chance. His stat screen also showed his current level. Jinwoo wondered how he could increase his level. He shook his head. No way. That seems impossible. Even though he knew it might not happen, the idea of leveling up still felt too far away. He didn't dare to hope it might be possible. Quests and rewards were all he needed to keep going. He used points he earned to make himself stronger a little bit every day. Today he was stronger than yesterday, and tomorrow he would be even stronger than today. His goal was to get better each and every single day. People called him the weakest D-rank hunter in the world, the weakest hunter of all mankind. The idea of him getting stronger seemed impossible. Even other C-rank and D-rank hunters would laugh if they heard about his big dreams. Jinwoo-sung was known as the weakest hunter in the world, but he had gotten a rare chance to become much stronger. People might laugh at him for trying, but Jinwoo didn't care. He was used to being mocked anyway. He was just happy to have this opportunity. He wondered if this is how hunters get stronger. Sometimes low-rank hunters can rise to the top through something called reawakening. Jinwoo wondered if every hunter who became stronger through reawakening had gone through this. Curious, he sat down at the computer in the corner of the room. The special VIP room from the organization had many comforts. Tap, tap, tap. His fingers moved swiftly over the keys. He searched and searched online. He looked at many websites, including some that needed a hunter license to access. He even paid for some documents that were locked behind paywalls. Still, he did not find anything similar to his situation. What he was experiencing wasn't the same as a reawakening. When hunters reawaken, they get their new powers in a way similar to when they first became hunters. Jinwoo was different from everyone else. He could hear things when he was nearly dying. He could see his stats like in a video game, and even make himself stronger by using points. Just to be safe, he wrote an anonymous message on a website where only hunters could see it. The title of the post was "Something Strange Happened." In the post he said, "I started seeing my stats on a screen like in a video game, and I can even upgrade them." The comment section under the post blew up. "LOL, look at this weirdo. Are you sure you're not crazy? What a creep. I think you play too many games. Are you some kind of artist? You should go to a hospital. I want to hear more about it. This site needs to stop letting just anyone join and clean up a bit." Most of the comments were similar. Hasa. Jinwoo sighed. He had wasted a lot of time online with nothing to show for it. All Jinwoo got was made fun of on the forum. If he had tried so hard and gotten nothing, he thought to himself, "I guess I'm the only one. The one and only. A one-of-a-kind hunter." It would take time to figure out how useful this power really was. But being the only one with it didn't sound so bad. He looked around and realized it was already late at night. Where did the time go? Jinwoo frowned. His eyes felt tired from staring at the screen for so long. He rubbed his temples for a bit, then stood up to stretch. He moved back and forth while doing some side stretches. That's when he noticed two boxes on the floor. Oh, they were the mystery boxes. These small boxes had simple wrapping paper and plain ribbons, which made him think of something from a video game. I guess they fell when I was messing around. He had forgotten that he got these boxes as rewards. Jinwoo picked up the box closest to him and opened it. A bandage. He stared at what looked like a simple bandage. And suddenly text appeared in green above it. Item bandage, a normal bandage. It can help with small injuries. You can keep it in your inventory. It's just a regular bandage. He thought maybe it had some kind of special power, like the items you find in games. But it didn't seem special at all. He had never heard of something as simple as a bandage being found in a place like this though. He opened the next box feeling a mix of disappointment and curiosity. Inside he found a ballpoint pen. He looked at the pen from every angle and pressed the top to see if anything special would happen. It turned out to be just a regular ballpoint pen. A simple ballpoint pen. Good for writing notes. You can keep it in your bag. It seemed like the mystery boxes gave out random stuff sometimes. He thought about it for a moment. At least he didn't come away empty-handed. He didn't need a bandage or a pen, but the items helped him discover something new called an inventory. The information screens for other objects in the room didn't show up in green letters, so this must be a special feature for mystery box items. He set inventory and a screen with many empty squares appeared in front of him. A level 1 user's inventory should have been empty, but his wasn't. There in the very first space was an item that looked really familiar. Is that? Jinwoo picked it up. Ping. Item Kim Sang-shik Steel Sword Attack Power 10. It was Kim's sword that Jinwoo had grabbed in the underground temple. He thought he'd lost it there. Good to see you again, bro. Jinwoo couldn't help but smile. Maybe because it had stayed with him after going through a tough time together. He was happy to have it back. It was way too special to leave behind. Mr. Kim said he paid 3,000 for it. Hunter-grade weapons look normal, but are actually very special. They are filled with magic which makes them strong enough to hurt magic beasts. Most weapons can harm these creatures without magic. That's why good weapons like this one cost so much money. Jinwoo had been fighting magic beasts with his bare hands because he couldn't afford a proper weapon until now. Even though the sword was used, Jinwoo was happy to have it. It's mine now. If Kim found out Jinwoo had it, he would get really mad and try to take it back. He was so selfish that he ran away and left the person who saved his life. Jinwoo got the sword and a new chance because he risked his life. He had no plans to give up the weapon without a fight. His eyes squinted tightly. He had learned 2 important lessons during his time in the hidden temple. First, he needed to become stronger because he had come close to dying many times, simply because he wasn't powerful enough. Second, he regretted not stopping the young choir member even though he knew what would happen, and he felt bad for not standing up for Song when he knew Kim was wrong. He had ignored it, even though he knew what was necessary to survive. To avoid feeling ashamed, he knew he had to get stronger. He also learned that no good deed goes unpunished. Whenever Jinwoo tried to do something kind, he ended up getting betrayed. 3 co-workers left him when he really needed them just to stand up. He asked them to return, but they didn't. They forgot that he was the one who had saved them. He decided not to risk his life again, just to help others. Jinwoo learned an important lesson when he almost died. He realized that staying alive is crucial. He knew he had to become stronger and tougher. Jinwoo always told himself, I can do this. He never made the same mistake twice. Yura Choi, a nurse, was enjoying herself at a street food cart. She was catching up with a friend she hadn't seen in a long time. Then Yura remembered something important. Her friend worked at the Hunters Association. She worked at a large hospital that specialized in treating hunters thanks in part to her friend. You know a lot about hunters, right? As much as anyone else. Why? Have you heard of a hunter who can heal quickly? Well, sure. Healers are like that. Just cast one healing spell and boom. No, not when you're using magic. I mean without even thinking about it. Without thinking. Like when someone is knocked out, or asleep. Her friend shook her head. That doesn't work. That power is called healing and only some high-level magical creatures can do that. But not people. Nope. I've never heard of a hunter with that ability. Are you serious? Yura asked. Her friend shrugged. Well, maybe it's possible if they're an S-rank hunter. Yura sat up straight. An S-rank? Yeah. Her friend said. S-rank hunters are super skilled, but not much is known about them. What was that rumor again? People were saying Yunho Bake from the White Tiger Guild could turn into some kind of monster. Jinwoo Sung was just an E-rank hunter though. Everyone's rank is public, and you can find it on the Hunter Association website if you want to check. After what happened this morning, Yura looked him up out of curiosity. His rank is too low for him to have any special powers or anything. Oh wait, she remembered hearing something about a reawakening when she walked by his hospital room yesterday, or the day before. Did he wake up again as a high-ranking hunter? Most people don't even get to meet an S-rank hunter, let alone be friends with one. Not only were they rare but they were also super busy. What were the chances she'd have such an amazing person as her patient? A hunter who had just jumped from E-rank to C-rank. No one knows how great he is yet. If she could make a good impression now, it might help her later on. It wasn't easy to become friends with an S-rank hunter. Some people even tried paying a lot of money just to meet them and still failed. Jura was smiling widely, lost in thought. Hey, what's going on? Why are you so happy? Nothing. Nothing. It's nothing. Even as Yura shook her head, she found it hard to hide her smile. Look at him. Did that patient always look so handsome? Two young female nurses said quietly to each other as they passed Jinwoo in the hallway. He pretended not to hear them, and went back to his room. It had been a week since he'd started doing the daily quests. Jinwoo stood in front of the mirror in his room. He hesitated for a moment before looking at himself. Even though no one was watching, it felt strange to check his appearance. After some time, Jinwoo finally worked up the courage to glance at his reflection. Just as he expected, something was different about him. His body was changing. He was getting stronger and more muscular. The most noticeable difference was how lean and defined his muscles had become. His shoulders looked wider, and his entire body seemed bigger. However, he wasn't too bulky. He just had the right amount of muscle in the right places. If someone had to describe Jinwoo in one word, they might say he was in great shape. He even thought so himself, which explains why the nurses noticed too. It's probably because of all those challenges he's been through. Jinwoo pulled up his stat screen. Peng. Name Jinwoo Sung Job. None HP 100 Fatigue 0 Level 1 Title. None MP 10 Stats, Strength 31. Stamina 10 Agility. 10 Intelligence. 10 Perception. 10 Available Ability Point 0 Skills. Passive Skill Unknown Max Level Willpower. Level 1 Active Skill. Level 1. His strength was already at 31. He wasn't sure if improving other skills would help, so he focused on building up his strength since that was most useful for battling magical creatures. But this change in his body, after just a couple of days, had to be due to more than just exercise. There could only be one explanation. As Jinwoo got stronger, his muscles started to adapt in ways that made him more powerful. He couldn't figure out another reason why this was happening. He had been a little worried about focusing all his effort on building strength, but once he saw how strong he got, he felt happy and relieved. However, he thought he was getting too noticed. More and more the nurses would talk about him. Since their job required knowledge of human anatomy, they couldn't ignore the change. Jinwoo noticed this because he had very sharp hearing. Looks like it's time to get out of here. All this attention wasn't good. He felt troubled by it, and wanted to keep anyone else from knowing about the system. There was no reason to cause unnecessary trouble. He hoped to improve his skills quietly without anyone noticing. Getting out shouldn't be an issue. Luckily, all the tests came back fine. He could leave whenever he wanted. The association and the hospital actually hoped he would leave soon. They likely didn't want to spend a lot of money on an E-rank hunter. People said the government covered medical costs for S-rank hunters, which was just one of the many perks they had. Jinwoo's situation was totally different from theirs. He decided it'd be a good call to leave the hospital soon. He wanted to check on something anyway. Where did I put it? He went through his pockets and pulled out a shiny gold key. It looked simple enough that someone might think it was just a small decoration. He stared at it for a moment before putting it back in his pocket. While he was filling out some paperwork, a young nurse ran up to him. Huff, huff. Are you leaving, Jinwoo? What? Yura Choi was Jinwoo's nurse. She looked sad to see him go. He wondered if he had done something wrong but could not think of anything. After a moment she pulled out a notebook. May I have your number? My number? Yes, if that's okay with you. Maybe they wanted to send him more test results. He took the notepad from her, but that was all she had for him. Yura's face turned red, as Jinwoo looked at her in surprise. What's wrong? I don't have a pen. Oh, just a minute, please. She had been in such a hurry that she hadn't brought a pen. She looked around, feeling frustrated. Oh wait. If it's a pen, he was holding one in his hand. The pen had appeared instantly as soon as he thought about it from his inventory. He could take anything from his inventory just by thinking about it. The pocket was really handy. Once he realized he actually had the pen, Jinwoo called out to Yura.
Already had a pen.
Wow, really? I'm so glad. Yura sighed in relief and put her hand on her chest. Jinwoo smiled as he wrote down his phone number. This was nothing new for them. He often found himself using items from mystery boxes shortly after getting them. The day after, he received a raincoat. It rained. He got a glass cup right before they were out of paper cups at the water cooler. Sometimes he'd get useless things like bandages. But most items were useful. Here. Yura happily took the notepad back from Jinwoo. She bowed to him. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, I'm looking forward to it too. With that Yor quickly ran off somewhere. He tilted his head as he watched her hurry away. But what exactly? Anyway, it was nice to see that she was as nice as she looked cute. With that in mind, Jinwoo left the hospital feeling lighter, like a burden had been lifted off him. His first stop was the Hunters Association headquarters in Guroga, Seoul. Hunter issue smartphones use special tech, so Jinwoo had to ask the group directly. The worker checked the screen and said it will take 2 weeks to get your phone. Wait, really? Jinwoo's eyes widened. His old phone got completely broken when he was running from the giant statue.